Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle, coming to you today with some rather sad news as the heart of Northwestern's basketball team, their leader in rebounds, assists, and steals, and their second highest scorer on the team in terms of points per game. Brooks Barnhizer is out for the rest of the season and effectively ending his college basketball career with about 10 games remaining left in the regular season. Brooks Barnhizer, a senior who averaged an impressive 17.1 points per game, 8.8 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 2.3 steals, has been ruled out for the rest of the season due to a foot injury. For a Wildcats team with aspirations of making the NCAA tournament for the third consecutive year, this is an absolutely devastating blow as it comes in their third loss in a row. And so many of you might say, well, they weren't going to make the tournament anyway. They still had a chance. A lot of Big Ten teams do. The question is on every Northwestern fan's mind is, can Northwestern still make the tournament without one of their star players? Barnhizer's journey this season has been nothing but short of a warrior's tale. I mean, we've seen him get his teeth knocked out in games because of what happened in practice earlier this season, and then he gives short of nothing but 100% effort in games after suffering a foot injury in the offseason that caused him to miss exhibition games and the first 4 games of the season. We weren't really sure how much we were going to get of Brooks, but through it all, we got a lot of Brooks as he managed to average 36.6 minutes per game, which is eighth in the country and second in the Big Ten behind only his teammate, Nick Martinelli. But midway through January, he re-injured himself against Michigan State. Despite the pain, Brooks pushed through it, even begging to play in games. In fact, in the 2 games following Michigan State, he played 40 plus minutes against Maryland and Michigan. Those games going into overtime. I believe he played 43 against Maryland and 42 against Michigan. But as the injury worsened and the decision was made, it was time to shut down Brooks Barnhizer for good. Losing Brooks is a huge void. I mean, he is a first team all Big Ten caliber player. He was their leader. He was their gladiator, and they fed off of that warrior mentality that he brought to the basketball court. And so the Wildcats now face an uphill battle without their star player. Following the Wisconsin loss, Northwestern is 3-8 in the Big Ten right now, riding a 3-game losing streak, and their tournament hopes are already very slim. Without Barnhizer, they have to dig deep. The Wildcats can look to other leaders on their team, like senior Nick Martinelli, to step up in Barnhizer's absence. Obviously, the leading scorer on the team, he's going to have to be scoring even more than what he's already scoring to try to make up for Barnhizer's absence. Nick Martinelli, he is another piece of this team that is just absolutely used like crazy and will now have the responsibility of carrying even more of an offensive load. But without Brooks doing it all, rebounding, assisting, defending, everything, the team will need more than just scoring. Brooks also led the team in usage rate. If you don't know what usage rate is, it's a pretty simple term to understand, but if you want kind of the big definition, it's an estimate of how much the team uses the player in offensive plays like field goals, free throws, and assists. He had the highest usage rate of any player on Northwestern's team. He was actually tied for 6th in the Big Ten with Dawson Garcia at 27.7%. That's more than Braden Smith, John Tonji, Derek Queen, Desmond Cloud, and so many other top-tier Big Ten players. Pretty much the only players ahead of him were the Rutgers duo, Bailey and Harper, and Trakoff and Wren. I'm trying to remember who the other ones were, but those are pretty much the only ones in front of him. Losing Barnhizer is a statistical nightmare, but if there is any hope, it's that the Wildcats have been through this before, and resilience is a part of their team's DNA. Remember, to start the year, everyone was talking about that this team was losing Boo Buie. He was gone. He wasn't coming back, and this team would be nothing without him, a lot of people said. But this team wouldn't know what to do without Boo. But Brooks and Nick and Leach and Barry and all these guys, they all stepped up this year. They've all played roles in getting this team to where they're at now, which granted is 3-8 in the Big Ten, but a competitive team in the Big Ten. Although they're on a 3-game losing streak and it looks daunting to overcome, that's Big Ten basketball for you. You're going to go on a losing streak at some point. This league is just too good for you not to. So some stats that might show losing Brooks could actually benefit the team in some ways is Brooks' turnovers per game, which sits at 2.8 per game and is 7th in the Big Ten and the highest on the team. Brooks also has shot it rather poorly this year. He is taking on average nearly 15 shots per game, and his effective field goal percentage is just south of 45%. The point is he's turning the ball over a good amount, and he's also taking a lot of shots that don't go in the basket. I'm not trying to disparage Brooks. That is not what I'm saying by any means. But if Northwestern can adjust properly, the Wildcats have the opportunity to be more efficient offensively. But it's stuff like what Chris Collins said after the game that makes it hard to believe that this team can accomplish their goal of making the NCAA tournament without Brooks. Here's what Chris Collins says. He said, he gave a big speech before the Wisconsin game, and it was emotional. He means so much to us. We just have to honor him by giving him everything we've got, end quote. It's been a gauntlet of tough competition this year for Northwestern, playing 6 games against top 25 teams and winning just 1 of those 6 games. Their best win came in an overtime thriller at home against number 17 Illinois earlier this season, a game in which Nick Martinelli shined with 27 points. If Illinois was doing better than they are right now, maybe this would look like a top-tier win that could elevate them into the tournament, but unfortunately, Illinois has lost some games that they probably should have won. But they can find similar success without their – but can they find similar success without their floor general? Looking ahead, the Wildcats have some challenges on their remaining schedule. With no more gimme games left out there, every game is crucial. They will face teams like Minnesota and Washington, but both of those teams are on the road. Those are both away games for them. And without their star player, Northwestern's margin for error is razor thin. The focus shifts to the rest of the team. For players like Martinelli, Matthew, Nicholson, Jalen Leach, and Ty Berry, this is their moment to rise. This is their moment to shine. This is their moment to do what Brooks and others were able to do when Boo Buie left. The Wildcats don't have the luxury of depending on Brooks anymore. They need a collective effort from everyone on the roster. I wouldn't be surprised to see Northwestern rally on their defense more, but with Brooks out, they not only lose a lot of their offensive production, but they lose even more defensive production. Now, there's a lot of hidden stats in defense, though, that you really can't measure. So can Northwestern play that type of aggressive defense that you can't so much measure, but can impact games? When it comes to defensive rebounding, steals, block rate, and foul efficiency, nobody in the country puts up the numbers that Brooks does. Northwestern will need Nicholson to be the rim protector that he can be. They'll need Ty Berry to be that pesky ball stealer, getting in between the pass lanes and picking pockets, and Martinelli to get involved in grabbing more defensive rebounds. What the Wildcats may lack in firepower without Barnhizer, they will need to make up for in grit and determination and smart basketball. This team is no stranger to adversity, and they need every bit of that fighting spirit to keep their NCAA tournament dreams alive. Right now, Northwestern's Big Ten record, it's a glaring issue. Their record overall, 12-10, is a glaring issue. They're 3-8 in the conference, which means they have a long way to go. Only 2-8 against Quad 1 teams and 1-2 against Quad 2 teams. But the Big Ten is one of the toughest conferences in the country, and I think they will get respect for that. And winning a few key games could make all the difference. It won't be easy. In fact, it's going to be one of the toughest challenges this program has ever faced, has ever seen. But if there's one thing we've learned about Chris Collins-led teams over the last few years, is that they never give up. Whether it's against Florida Atlantic in the NCAA tournament, whether it's losing Boo Buie, whether it's against Purdue on the road, this team never gives up. Here's what Chris Collins said. He made that clear by saying, quote, "We're going to honor Brooks by fighting. We're going to give everything we've got. We owe him that much," end quote. Northwestern's journey to the NCAA tournament isn't over. It's just got a whole lot harder. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe. Hit that like button down there. Subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 1,000 on this channel. Would really appreciate your help in that. From game recaps to news, I'm going to be amping up the Big Ten basketball coverage by trying to give you guys at least one Big Ten basketball episode per day. We have the Power Rankings show on Monday mornings, and then the rest of the time I'll be trying to do at least one video or podcast per day. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you'll see me there and you'll join me for those times. See you next time.